do that. And I have this other one over here too. And I got this little camera over here too, just for these like kind of these
Oh, cool.
horizontal. And so that'll I'm gonna put that on too. Um, if I post it on TikTok, it's really clear, it's really organized, it's very, because even as
That's
you
good. That's good. No, you're so good at what you do. I love that. It's like I hadn't thought of that. Where's my my camera guy just left with his friend. I
Hey,
don't have
man,
anything to say. No, you're good. No,
good help's hard to find these
it
days.
is. That's good. No, it's
But
all good. Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. That's great.
yeah, it kind of goes into the idea of like, yeah, me as far as our relationship, I want to definitely. I love what you do, and again, I've known about you since 2021.
Right.
And during that time, like I was like, okay, here's this wonderful page. It's very clear, but it was almost like, oh, it's too simple,
Mm,
so like but you get coaxed by other people online
yeah.
saying all kinds of stuff, and then so I followed that, other trends and the other paths, and then found that there was just a lot of stuff that people were saying that didn't have any real
Mm,
true value, and
it's a good word.
so all these just again like I forget what they call them, but the sovereign citizen movement,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
Again,
pretty
not
common.
exactly. You know what I'm talking about.
Sure, sure. No, I mean, I went down those same pathways and we're seeing where they go. And I've had some mentors that were really good that were pretty hard on me. And that's I think all the time my mentors had always been hard on me. At least that's the way I perceived them at the time. Afterwards, you're like, I mean, it's like, and you're in the sports, you understand the relationship of a coach. The coach isn't competing, but they're seeing things in a different place. They've got your back. They're going to move you beyond your own comfort, and really even the limitations of where you might see yourself. Um, so yeah, so that's the way and whether it be my Bible teachers, or some of the legal people where they would say, don't take my word for it. You got to look these things up for yourself. You check your sources and all that. Those disciplines really pay out. And then, of course, in most fields, when you check sources, when you do your foundational work, it builds faith or builds your confidence to be able to enter in because you know what you're talking about. And the other thing that happens is that when you're engaging with, in our topic specifically, is when you're dealing with government, when you have that confidence, it's perceived as someone who has knowledge. It's the same thing that they saw the disciples of Jesus and they recognized by how they were behaving and what they were saying that they had been with Jesus. And so
Mhm.
they also didn't know what Jesus's credentials are, but because he knew his subject matter, because he had studied, he was disciplined, they recognized that he had authority. And so that's a perception, that's why in government they give them costumes to wear, so because they do lack authority, they want that a costume of authority, so they say, oh, I see, you're a cop, you have a badge is my, and those things are they're false in the sense of that they perceive they show something, but it really lacks authority, because the greatest leader is the greatest server, the greatest of all. The least of us in America is the president. Why is that? Well, because everybody has the authority to vote for him. That's why he's the least of all. He's the
Right.
servant of all. That's how Jesus defines service, is that not that he's serving, that everyone serves him, or that he's over all, which is like the unbeliever does. They're over all. That's the way the world is that the elected officials are over all. The whole crock of crap, irresponsible things that America, we're the leaders of the free world. I have nothing but disdain for that stupid attitude. That attitude sucks. Even if it were true, you would never say that to somebody. Although, growing up in my household, it's like, you know, the old adage is like, I'm your father, I made you, I can take you out.
Oh, yeah.
That's just dealing with rebellion in your own household. It's like, okay, yeah, no, listen, let the cops arrest me, because if my old man found out, I'm not going to do so well. Those
Right.
privileges will be withdrawn. And that's just growing up in the old days. But then once you become a man and you grow up, because you're a good father wants you to be disciplined, that's not a bad thing. That the rigor of discipline is an important thing for us to learn. And that's what I was saying, the discipline of looking up statutes and codes is an important thing. And that's the way I learned. And so and that's what we feel is the best client, is one that will do the work,
Yeah.
inside and outside. And it is simple, though, like you were saying. I do think that truth is that way, is simple. It doesn't have to be complex.
Here's one of the things that I think that people, I don't know, you let me know what you think that people miss, but it is almost a sense of people missing that sort of mentorship.
Mm,
There's that scripture that talks about, where is the one who is wise? Where is the debater of the age? Where is the scribe? Like where are the people? Wisdom is something that we want to pursue because
yeah,
wisdom is foundational. Um, but wisdom comes through experience.
yeah,
It's engendered through experience, or it's found through experience, and
yeah,
um, it almost seems like people are missing the experience because of we're not having that relationship with, again, whether it be mentors or leaders. Like we don't trust our leaders, we don't
mm,
trust the authorities, we don't trust. Why? Because now we look at government or politicians or these structures or even school jobs. There's a mistrust that's being filtered through these systems where I'm not even going to trust my neighbor because you don't, you just, it creates this mistrust. So
yeah,
you see those like movies and read the 1984s where you have these kind of totalitarian governments, and then you kind of wonder, it doesn't it, I don't think it's that bad, but like from a mental standpoint, like I'm doing stuff on my own because I don't think I can trust the guy next to me, which is because
yeah,
my job is telling me, because media is telling me, because school's telling me, because politicians are telling me, because the courts are telling me, and then the president's telling me. I can't trust anybody. That's what they're saying. And so I guess, what do you think about mentorship with respect to, um, like, is there a way that mentorship can be addressed in a way that is as positive towards and insightful? And maybe that's the reason why I'm even looking towards the competitive evolution thing, because mentorship and guidance and wisdom and rites of
yeah.
passage, coming of ages, like these things are really missing a little bit. Do you?
It is absolutely the culture. Just all we have to do is look at the culture, and look at the purposes of government, how they want everybody fighting with each other. And so you're destroying the family. I mean, there's a natural family unit that is under attack, has been under attack. It's part of the communist plan to destroy the family, because then government is your family, and it's a terrible family. It doesn't meet the needs of the family. It doesn't recognize the beauty of the feminine, the beauty of the masculine, and how that's a beautiful dance, and not in competition with each other. It's not that way. And so um, the beauty of that, and I think that based upon the economic failings, I do think, as much as we we poo poo the 30-year-old kid or daughter that's still living at home, that's just a reaction to the central bankers that have destroyed our economy. Okay. And so the idea of, I think, a success is going to be not so much, I mean, the pros and cons of living at home. You're not living at home with children. These are adults. So that has to be redefined. But the Victorian household, that was huge. They took all those Victorian buildings that were the houses that are in New England and others in the South and whatever, and they broke them up into apartments. And so with the idea of families coming back together so that the 1, 2, 3 males are, and of course, in this culture, it doesn't necessarily have to be male, but say the 3 males were bringing in the income for this one household,
Mm,
that the women, you have aunts and that and lots of kids around, and those
mm,
those women are, they're tending to the household. It's all these needs are getting met because this is a family that wants to be together, not that the parents are still parenting. We're talking a larger family. That would be a astonishing success,
right.
because and so even though the bankers wanted to destroy the family so that they could make more money by driving out the parents, requiring, because of debt, both parents to work outside the house, leaving the children unattended to, in which the government comes along with their indoctrination schools that they're going to teach the next generation, is where we are. And
Right.
that is a cultural war, and we've lost it. And so coming back together, like you're saying, these rites of passages, you need fathers, uncles, brothers loving each other and saying, these are our young men that have to come of age. And then where are the wise women that are going
Mm,
to teach them, like you see the beauty of those ethnic families in the films, like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where you
mhm,
see like what is it, Moonstruck with Nicolas Cage and Cher, where you get to see these Italians and the strength of the woman, that she doesn't cheat because she knows who she is, and she's got her husband who's lost. And so you see the strong woman holding her family together. And the same in you see these cultures, and we know these in cultures, and certainly these older cultures that say, look, this is a beautiful act of how men and women recognize the value they bring to the table. There needs to be older women teaching these girls how to love their men, and vice versa. And certainly by our faith, that teaches us to walk in love and to respect the culture. It's not going to come from the world. It's just going to be broken down. There's such a need for that, and to address it. Someone's got to speak into that. And I think people are longing for it, because look at the result. Look at how messed up the culture is. They don't even know what sex they are. They're lost.
mhm,
It's just a mess. So, and that's such a small microcosm. That's not the majority. It's the government and the establishment that wants you to think that, one, that the homosexual community is a large community. It's not. It's
mhm,
a microcosm. And then in that trans community is a subculture of that culture. It's a tiny, tiny culture. It's not the majority. And to be able to just set that aside and say, look, people want to be loved. That's the bottom line.
mhm.
And the laws of nature are there. So yes, I think it's definitely missing those mentors.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
where are these mentors going to come from?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Where are these mentors? Where are these people at?
It's you.
Um,
It's you.
right. That's
It's
exactly what
me.
I'm, yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because it's resonating with you, and
Yeah.
it's everyone who cares about their family and about the culture. Is, look, I mean, when you're homeschooling and you're not a professional teacher or whatever, you don't have to do that. You just got to know more than your kid.
True.
And if you stay a week ahead of them, you're going to be a week ahead, and so when you begin to learn together, it's still about love and discipline and striving for masteries. Because listen,
Yeah.
I've never been a grandparent before. I'm just first time.
Mm,
I'm first time parent, first time grandparent, first time everybody's. For this life is the first time. So we can do it together. And there's that information's out there, and the wisdom is there if we'll just take it and at least strive for it. So
right. Yeah. I like the point that you pointed out. That we are the mentors. It's the people who
mm,
are deeply feeling for our
yeah,
society,
yeah,
deeply feeling for our
yeah,
communities, deeply feeling for wanting to grow and wanting to, yeah, live in this expression of freedom that we were always meant to live in.
absolutely.
And it's really the age for that too, because
Mm,
like I think that, you know, I don't know if you the doctrine of the ages, but they talk about, like, in the last stage, the Piscean age. And in the
Mm,
Piscean age, it's this sort of one person telling this other person, you do what I say because I'm saying it,
right.
right? And now we're entering into, like, and it's I believe is the name for it. I believe, which is good for the age. Now we're entering into, like, a new age, where it's I know.
Mm,
And that this knowledge, and this depth of knowledge there is still a teaching that takes place, but I'm teaching you not so that way you can follow me and be the
mm,
person. I'm the one that is an authoritarian over you.
right.
I'm teaching you and I'm showing you the way so that way you can know it for
Right.
yourself and
Exactly.
live from that place of inner knowing, and
Yeah.
then develop the wisdom within you through
Yeah.
through that experience. And,
Absolutely. And
and
I
so,
think, and certainly if people are going to church and stuff like that, those communities, but even in church, um, I I think that congregationalism, regardless of what um, belief that you have, congregationalism, where something's happening up front and everybody's watching like a spectator, they're watching a show. And so that form of learning is in their head. That's what they call a Greek model of learning, where I know something, I'm telling you now, you know something. And so that doesn't really meet the big need in some of the older circles, was to sit around the campfire or to sit in a circle to where everybody's looking, everybody's participating. That is a much better model of learning. And the Hebrew model of learning is, um, I'm not going to tell you about my life. Come live with me and see how I live. See the congruency in that, and come and see how I teach my kids. Come look and see. That way you can see what's real and not what I'm making up about it, or I get to present to you in the way that the best light that I want to see myself in is really not, I think, something that lasts long. And it may have played out in a certain way, but we're paying the price for it now. So my encouragement to people, and certainly in the area of dealing with freedom or whatever. And I did this myself for years, and that was to have a freedom fellowship on a particular night where you can talk about freedom and you're just getting to know people and developing those relationships. And look, and I'm not a I would, if I was doing church, if you will, I would only do church in the home, because it's going to be a smaller group. Everybody's needs are going to get met, and you're going to share everyone has all. There's an equality in that, because everybody, there's nobody over somebody. There may be somebody serving everybody, but the idea is there's nobody over. There's no leadership like that. It's a mutual thing. And I believe that everybody should have their their group of friends that are helping each other strive for mastery, like you're saying, and so that they got their back. And the natural one is when someone gets married, they come up with a bridal party. Well, if those aren't the people that you're going to be close proximity with, if they're just people all over, and then there's nothing wrong with that, but people that are a distance away are not the people that you're living with in and around, down the block, down the street, people that you see daily, because your kids need to play together because you have like things in common. You share resources and stuff. It's a beautiful thing. It is the church full sharing. That's the word for fellowship. I think it's like koinonia or something like that, where there's a full sharing.
yeah.
And so if there's no full sharing, then there's something missing. Every cell in your body gets nutrients and gets blood and gets the full life. Not every part of the body is doing the same thing, but everybody gets to enjoy the health of the whole body. And that's the analogy for that. So I do recommend that people create their social in the house kind of thing. If you start getting into public, then you kind of get missed, because people just will attend just to stay at a distance and all. People have to be fully engaged. Um, when I would be a part of something, I never was a spectator. I didn't come to, I was too busy to be a spectator in anything. I would be in and, like, I want to be involved. I want to be a mover and shaker. I want to speak up. I want to engage. And that's the best way to be involved in anything, is to be a participant
Yeah.
fully. So I think that's needed in the
You,
culture,
you,
neighborhood to neighborhood. And certainly your family is a part of that. And certainly that would be one night. I mean, you got to have family night. You got to have, whether you're going to all enjoy a movie, go out to the bar. I mean, if you got to have a family night, I mean, there's such a beauty, but this whole disjointed, because we have this social media stuff, is not going to bring the vitality that really holding people, hugging, crying together, just just really connecting with people. You can't beat that. To hold someone's hand and to weep with them, or to celebrate with them, to kiss them, that doesn't happen online, my friend. And you can't um, there's no way to measure the value of touch and to be together. We were meant to be together, and that's got to come back if we're going to save our culture.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, I can see and feel that from you.
Oh,
Yeah, where does that deep sense, where does that come from? Like,
oh, I'm
that,
a romantic. I'm a dreamer.
yeah.
I watch movies. Listen, I think God speaks to me through movies, and I I watch a movie like you're doing a drug.
Yeah.
I suspend belief. And so I'm watching, I don't let people talk while I'm watching a movie, because I'm on my movie drug, so and so and so I want to feel it. So what happens is, so that scene, you can't handle the truth, the intensity of that. I want to feel it from I want to feel it from who's in the room. I want to, so I let myself, I want to know how that person feels, so it wells up in me. And so when you're, and there's so many films. And listen, the way I feel about films is the way that people used to feel when they would read a book. And there's a movie, it's called Shadowlands. If no one's, Anthony Hopkins is it. Oh, just make sure you bring your Kleenex with that one. But he's teaching. This is C.S. Lewis. He's talking about why we read. And so the young student comes along and says, like, well, he's asking, why do you think we read? He says, we read to know that we're not alone. And so he's like, we're discovering these things. And that's the way you would story tell in a movie. A movie's just another form of storytelling. And I got them all in my head. It's like, every one of those scenes, I can quote them because they move me so much. It's like, Neo, you're going into the Matrix up against, Morpheus warned you about that no one's ever stood against them, an agent. And so she's saying, Neo, no one's ever done this before. He says, I know, that's why I know it's going to work.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, I got it, And so every one of these moments that you see these and Meet Joe Black, when he's trying to reach his daughter, and he says, I want you to dance like a dervish. I want you to be, recklessly in love with your life. And she's like, oh, Dad, here he is. He's feeling so passionate about it and so thankful for his life. And so death comes and visits him because he's never seen somebody so in love with life. Death wants to figure out what the hell that feels like. And if you've never seen Meet Joe Black, oh my God. And you
Hmm.
see the way these people touch their lives. And there's so many films that way that are just so powerful. Everything that you see from Braveheart and all these classics. But there's movies, Joe versus the volcano, and just, and when I watch them, they all, I can re-tap that same feeling I had about every moment. They're in my head. So anyway, so I'm moved by that. I'm and so I want that in my life.
Yeah. Hmm.
I want to love my wife better. I want to be loved. I want to set people free in my work. I want people to know that they can do these things without fear, that they can be and here's what I'm making up about it. If you live in this place where life is that alive, your frequency, you'll disappear. Nobody will be able to see you. I'm not kidding. On some level, you'll be invisible. You'll be seen by those who want to see you, and you'll be invisible. This is why Jesus Christ was able to pass through the midst of the crowd, because they couldn't see him. He disappeared. He literally disappeared because they just couldn't see them. There's times when you deal with your government where you'll confound them. They won't even, they'll like, what, what was I asking you? It's the same thing where the Jedi said to him, you know, we're not looking for these droids. We don't know. It's the same thing. These are in movies, but this really does happen in real life. There's no way you're going to stand against the force of the United States government. They're too fierce. Unless, of course, you tap into the Almighty. Not so fierce. And I'm not kidding. So, when I do my Matrix commentary and I talk about, when I show you the film The Matrix, from building faith and developing that you are the one in your life, what are you trying to say, Chris? That I'm going to dodge bullets? I'm saying no. When you're ready, you won't have to.
That's right.
I mean that.
Right.
Because you can live in that place to where you're so on fire that literally your elements, yes, you can harness the elements. And I'm not making that as a figure. I mean, really, that means you can minister healing to people. And let me tell you something. I'll just tell you a little story. And every Christian has the ability to minister gifts of healing. Everyone has the ability. Not everyone has the belief that they can. Everyone has the ability. And let me just tell you a little secret, a little financial secret. You develop the skill to heal people, you won't lack money. I promise you that. You will never ever lack. Your needs will always be met. And God has given that to you freely, that gift, if you care to learn about it. And yes, you can. And so it's like, that's that magical stuff. That's why we love fairy tales. That's why we love all those things, because every fairy tale, what's the purpose of a fairy tale? To shape your character. That's the purpose. That was the purpose of college, was to discipline your character, not teach you information. That's ever evolving. No, shape your character so that you can be enlightened, so that you can walk with God, so that you can be on the same frequency as the Almighty. That's how Stephen was able to enter into the camp. He's like, this can't be William Wallace. I'm much prettier than this man. He comes up and he says, he goes, eats right from their thing. He's like, if I risk my neck for you, will I get a chance to kill Englishmen? He's like, what? Like, how the hell did this guy get in here? And he's like, he says, are you talking to a ghost? He says, is that in order to find an equal, an Irishman's forced to talk to God? Yes, Father. He says, don't change the subject. Just answer the forking question. He says, yes, if you were, if you fight for me, you'll get the kill. Excellent. Stephen's my name. I'm the most wanted man on my island. Of course, I'm not on my island. More's the pity, and then, this is Stephen's on another frequency, and he was called to be there to protect William Wallace. He's doing his thing in Ireland, and now he's called to do this thing. And that may be what, that's where everybody's at. What is God calling? What is your purpose? Are you answering that call? Because you have a calling. Everyone has a calling. And it may not be, making Hollywood movies. It may not be, it's not about that you're the minister, but I'll tell you, you're the minister in your life. You're in your own life. It's absolutely, and it's profound. And everybody has an opportunity to live their best life.
Oh my goodness.
It's just exciting. I know.
Man,
I digress. We should talk about the
no, this is perfect.
I love talking to you. I mean, I love your
It's
well, this is what you bring to the table. It's like what we were talking earlier, and just doing your gift and your love and your passion for the culture. It's just really extraordinary. I love it. Listen, we all have burdens in our life and things we struggle in, but most of the time I'm beat up on the inside of like, you can do better than this, you can do better than this, you got to step up your game. And it's like, oh man. And it's so easy to be invited and being tired,
yeah.
I know it's like that, but I'm going to run this all the way out. I don't know how much time I have.
Come on, man.
And and so we engage, and I'm trying to hand this off, and I don't know that my son's going to pick it up or take it up, but I mean it's definitely there. But one of the things that I wanted to say, and especially in this, because this is kind of a follow up of our last talk, but I just want people to know that it's not a big deal and it's not difficult for people to stop filing. And it's not about that. We agree with IRS, and a lot of people think that a lot of people believe that the income tax is unconstitutional. They don't like it. They all that. They don't understand federal jurisdiction. They don't understand the Constitution, and so they don't get how the federal government's doing what it does. And so that's the beauty of what we do, is we're not fighting with IRS. We agree with IRS. Not that we like that as a system. I'm just saying is that we know who has the tax liability, and we talk about that. All U.S. citizens, regardless of where they live, and resident aliens. That's what it says in their publication. That's what it means. The question is, are you a federal citizen? Are you the citizen that they're describing? Does that make you a taxpayer or does it not? And so when you see these things from the tax code, you say, oh, okay, I see it. Simple process. And we do that with the State Department. And let's look at another warning about the, can you still hear me okay?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great. So anyway, so the idea is that what we want to just communicate people simply is that a couple things. The benefits of, if you want to keep 25-30% of your income, what you're sending not only to the federal but also to the state, if you want to keep those resources, if you could keep those resources, here's a question for you: would you invest that in something that builds your future, or would you would shrink down? Now you're not being taxed this much. Now you're going to live within the means that you're making, and you're not really expanding and growing. But if you were to actually take the every week that you pay in 25-30% of your income, and you were setting that into Bitcoin even, or precious metal, whatever, something, you would have far more money than you could imagine that you would naturally save on your own if you will discipline yourself in that capacity. So there's a huge cookie and a benefit for you. Then add that we help people discharge debt. So if their people are paying out every month so much that they don't think that they're ever going to recover from the amount of debt they're in, we help people eliminate that as well easily, that when you begin, you don't have to, you'll stop paying. Not consolidation. We talk about elimination. Not only eliminating your federal income tax liability, which would eliminate your state income tax liability, but also that debt. That's a huge breakthrough. And if churches knew that, if churches knew that there was this massive amount of money that they've been paying off to the central bankers, the debt is to the central bankers. The income tax is central bankers. It doesn't run the government, my friends. If you don't know that, you don't know how you're being taxed and where it's going. Central bankers are the scourge of the earth. They are the ones that want the world to be in debt. And of course, America is the best country of debt because we have the most debt than any other country on the planet. That doesn't make us the city on the hill, my friends. That means there's nothing. So we're living in that. So if you want to pull out of that, we help you. And listen, if you're working a job, we're going to help you, because we don't advocate that people do these things while employed. We will help you move from whatever skills you have and whatever you want to do to getting your own business. It's not difficult. And we don't do the corporate crap. You're not going to have employees. You're just going to build your own business within yourself, in your service, or whatever you're going to provide, or whatever it is. We will help you move out of that. If you have a company, a corporation, you got these things, we're going to pull you out of the District of Columbia. We're going to shut down those corporations. We're going to bring you out of the public and back into the private. That we help people with. And you don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of people all over the world that are doing this. Now, I just want you to know that none of our clients are having trouble with the IRS. Now, we have clients that communicate with IRS, that we help clients, but these are people that have had IRS issues that have come to us that we're helping with that. That's the only people that we have dealing with IRS. Nobody is dealing with IRS that's doing our processes. It's because we know how to keep yourself administratively clean, keep yourself out of the District of Columbia, or the United States District of Columbia. So this is our passion. We've been doing this for a long time, and we can help that people too. So if you just look at what you're paying out already, you can take those resources immediately and just come on in and sign up for our stuff. We give a lot of support. We have and help people to move down this pathway easily. And so you don't have to be afraid. This is well trodden. We've had lots of Americans all over the world do these processes, and and have been doing it well. And so it's very exciting that way. And so it's the same as just like as if you change your citizenship. If you want to be a citizen of Texas, what do? You move to Texas, not a big fight. You pack up your stuff, you go. There's work associated with doing that change. You shut off your other driver's license. You might get another driver's license here. So there's something unique to being in Texas. You can choose to change your citizenship. That's the choice. Taxes are not voluntary. There's no such thing as a voluntary tax. Now, when we talk about excise taxes, yes, you can choose that you don't want to pay this tax because you don't take the privilege or the service. But the income tax is also an excise tax. You can look it up. And so if you don't want to be a federal citizen of the District of Columbia, then you can be a citizen of your state and not have those obligations. And not only that, the federal government is obligated to abide by the Constitution in dealing with you because you're not in that jurisdiction. Those citizens subject to the jurisdiction thereof are subject to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, where the government will tax and regulate their citizens. And if you want to know how that regulation looks, you just look up the Federal Code of Regulations. It tells you how they govern their work, their life, their every aspect of their life they're governing, and they define it that way. That's how it's congruent. So
Absolutely huge, absolutely huge. So here's what I want to do. I'm gonna actually so I got this recording for the for YouTube.
oh,
So
okay,
it's
cool.
gonna be a large one for YouTube. What I want that last little part that we talked about, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start this one up over here, which is gonna be
Okay.
for TikTok. And
Oh, okay, cool.
basically what you did, running over those five the points. I would love to
The
kind
5
of,
points,
yeah, yeah. There was about 5 points. We talked about one, the benefits of keeping that
oh,
25-30%.
oh, yeah.
Discharging debt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, just
Discharging debt.
the financial transformation. And there was another point I wanted to make about that if the money's low, but I will start whenever you want to.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
just
So here's what I'll do. I'll keep this running, but I'll
Yeah, just
also
keep it all going. Yeah.
I'll
You
keep
might
this
use it
running,
some
and
other
then
point.
I'll
That's cool.
get this over here rock and
Okay.
rolling. Yeah. Okay. All right. So
Yes. So, the thing we find is that this doesn't have to be a fight. Sometimes in the category, when people talk about this stuff, they may talk about tax resistance and all that. None of that energy is playing out. This is just paperwork. It's just administrative. And so when you look at your life and how much you're paying out, listen, the income tax doesn't go to run the government. It goes to the central bankers. And when you're paying debt, it goes to the central bankers. That's the ones you're enslaved to. And your government certainly is allowing it. But so when you're doing these processes, when we discharge debt for clients, once you begin that process, you stop paying out. And so if you take that amount of money that you've been paying out every month, that's yours to, at least half of it should be going into some investment that grows for you. And then the other half will be a lifestyle change for you, might cover something. The idea is that you're now going to be solvent. And so to eliminate one's income tax liability, and then to eliminate their debt, you're talking a significant 25-30% or more of what you've been paying out, you now get to keep for yourself. That's your inheritance. That belongs to your children, or it can be just something that you build beautifully for yourself. So to sign up for our processes where we help you, we have lots of support for you. You don't have to go this alone. You don't have to be afraid. It can be something that you can do because we agree with the IRS in the sense of that who has these obligations. the federal citizen and the resident alien. It says in the IRS publications, all US citizens, regardless of where they live, and resident aliens have a filing requirement. Well, changing that is like just changing your citizenship. If you want to move to Texas, you move to Texas. There's a certain work associated with that. You're going to cut off this driver's license, you're going to go here. It's all the same, and so you're freely able to choose your citizenship. But taxation isn't that way. Taxation is always by force. So, but the excise tax is a choice. You can choose not to buy gasoline and never pay the gasoline tax. There's a freedom in an excise tax. And the income tax is also an excise tax. It's not a direct tax. And so the privilege of that is the federal citizen and what they offer, the privileges and immunities, as it says. So the idea is that the federal government can regulate their citizen, and they do. If you look at the Code of Federal Regulations, you see all of that regulation and control. The state citizen, the citizens of the states, the federal government is obligated by the Constitution not to violate them. They don't have those same obligations for those citizens of the District of Columbia. So, and that's the simplicity of it.
So with respect to that, we're talking about the benefit, right? This is what you have been doing for years. You're talking about the benefit of eliminating that income tax liability.
Right.
So the benefit of keeping 25 to 30% of their income, and that way they can take that and start investing in themselves.
Exactly.
Start investing into what would be the crypto, or to be the gold,
Their
or
legacy building. Yes.
Legacy building.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. And that might be part of their inheritance, because where's the inheritance for the kids? Are they going to inherit your debt? And listen, don't think for a second that in some countries they don't pass debt on to children. They don't do that in America yet, but some of it, if you get into a house and the house is in debt, it may be you're wanting to get out of that. These systems have been serving central bankers for years, and those days, in my opinion, are over. And so you can go down this pathway and protect that inheritance of yours. And imagine in the church, if everyone in the church was be able to eliminate all of their unsecured debt, and how much money that is every single month, that might be part of the equal sharing in their church, and then eliminating 25-30% of their tax of the right of their labor, eliminating that. How much of that money belongs to the things of God, and of course to their families and all that stuff? We're not talking about a small sum of money. We're talking about a significant amount of labor and wealth that belongs to you. And that is worth, you don't have to fight. This is just paperwork. It's just paperwork. There's
just
no
a little
fight.
administrative paperwork.
It's administrative paperwork. It's that simple. But just check your head that if you have thoughts of fear in your head, that might be the thing you're up against. Not because we're having trouble, because like I said, we've done this work for 25, 30 years. We have no clients having trouble with IRS. Not one. We, people, we have clients that deal with IRS, but they were dealing with it before they came in, and we help them with that. But it's all doable. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention that.
I mean, that's huge, right? So not only are you not having people having issues with the IRS unless they had it before with whatever they were doing before, but you had talked a little bit about if Christians, like in churches, knew and had understood these things. I want you to speak a little bit about that discharging of debt as a service that you guys offer, because I think that's something that a lot of people have been looking for that. And I've seen it on TikTok, and I see, all these gurus and people talking about, and it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then,
well, it is in the culture right now, especially in America, where you talk about debt, right? And the big one that's in the everybody's is the children that have taken on the college debt, and it's like, well, they've got to pay their bills, well, we can't let them get out of the debt. It's like, and then the government wants to come along and say, well, we're going to pay off their debt, and people are like, well, you're going to pay that from the other people's taxation. It's like, no one says screw the bankers. I'm for wiping out their debt, but where do we owe from these bankers? They're not culpable of giving babies debt and expecting that they're going to come out of school and they're going to right away just going to have to pay out this. They've got hundreds of thousands. Imagine before a family even has a family, that they're in debt at the very beginning is an atrocity. And that the church is complicit in that is a crock of shit. It's bad. And so, yeah, I'd absolve them of all that debt. Not that the taxpayers fund it. How stupid is that idea? I'm saying tell the central bankers, you've had enough. That's the end
Right.
of it. Who the hell you think you are putting children into debt? And of course, mommy and daddy are culpable on some level, but you don't need to be in debt to learn what they teach in stupid college. Are you kidding me? That's just a farce. And listen, the college gets their money up front. Thanks, bankers. So the colleges love the debt because they're not in debt. It's a stinking mess. But yes, unsecured debt. Now, listen, if you're a federal citizen, if the bankers free you from that, what they do is they have paperwork and they just create a tax liability for you. But for our clients that have no tax liability, not a problem. Let the bankers take it on the chin. It's about enough. It's enough. And so, yeah, that's the beauty of it. Never forget these central bankers. Those are the ones that Jesus was violent with, the money changers. That's the one that Jesus says, not in this house. So, yeah, you can say that too. And again, the church being ignorant is complicit. They don't know these things. And listen, the church is going to benefit immensely by eliminating central bankers out of the equation of the prosperity of America.
Now, we can't do that. And like you said, you can't do it while employed, but destination freedom, you help people.
Yeah, listen, being employed is overrated. And listen, if you got great skills, I promise here's what we have. Some clients will just change from employment to contracting. And a lot of businesses do that. They let them go. They don't have to pay workman's comp. They don't have to pay out. They don't have to match funds with the government. They just invoice them. They can literally be paying the same amount. And yet the person that just now is getting directly without the middle pedophile, he now gets a raise. And so that's a beautiful thing. So everybody benefits. The company pays less out, the person makes more money, and it's the exact same money. That's one benefit. And so, but if you're not going to get hired by it, if you have great skills, then look, now you're just going to provide these skills to the general market. It's not, listen, don't think that starting a business is difficult. It's not. Listen, there are stupid people and they're in business too. It has nothing to do with intelligence. You can't be afraid. There's 1,000 supports in helping you do business. But here's what I want to encourage you. If you decide to move out of being employed to work for your own business, now what we call it when you work for a company, we call it that you're the goose that lays the golden egg. When you work for a company, you're the goose. Now, when you work for yourself, you own you, and you're still the goose that's laying the golden egg. We recommend that, let's say you wanted to start a cleaning company. If you're going to start a cleaning company, you may have a standard of how you want to do the cleaning company. I'm going to invite you not to clean. Don't clean. Get people, contract with them, and let them clean. Get 4 people to clean. You go get the business for them. And so now you own the company. You're no longer the goose. They're the goose. And so, and that's okay. People are in that space. Now and you should tell them, you want them to work your contracts. Those are your contracts. And you want your workers to have their own contracts where they make more money. Everybody wins. You have work for you, they have work for others, but you can, and listen, young people will do these things. So whether so whatever you're doing, do it where you're the operator, not the operator. You're the owner of the business, not the operator. Now, again, there may be a transition in there. I'm okay. But the goal is to own the thing that makes the money. Don't be the thing that makes the money. Okay. This is what they teach wealthy people. They take their assets, whether they own property or they own a website or they have an eBay account, whatever it is, get all your grandkids to make money, split 50-50 with every grandkid, teach the kid to be an entrepreneur. And so he's doing all of the stuff online and they're getting all the stuff and you're paying them half of every time someone sells, and you are building, you get paid because you're helping all your grandkids make money. I mean, look, this is how families care for each other.
This is
Help your
so
grandkids
true.
start his lawn mowing business.
This is
Show him how. I mean, this is what we used to do when we were little, So yeah, and that entrepreneurship is beautiful and will pay great dividends. Like Jim Rohn said, you can look him up on YouTube. He says, profits are better than wages. I mean, and Jim Rohn has all the information on eBay free on how to develop and work for yourself. It is extraordinarily wonderful. And when you work for yourself, it's so much easier to determine if you have an income tax liability or not. That's a beautiful thing. And there's a lot. And here's another tidbit for you. Listen, always, if you work for the wealthy, you'll always be wealthy. I promise you that. So, because,
Mhm.
and listen, they want, if you strive for excellence and you're the best of whatever you do, I mean, because you care more than the other guy, that's the competitive edge, because you create more value. And so the beauty of value costs money. That's what people are willing to pay for. And people with money want things of value. Just give those things, whatever it is, clean it, the dogs, cleaning up anything, any kind of service, help make people's lives easier, and you'll make a fortune. You will. It's just because people want it. And in any category, it doesn't matter. Hell, I think someone could make a fortune. I care. Have you ever gone to a back scratcher? I don't even think there is anyway. Imagine if you go $5 an hour, $5 for 15 minutes, or whatever it is, it's like, we'll scratch backs, it's like, well, we got a whole thing here. Anyway, there's so many, there literally is an unlimited supply of serving people. I could never be employed by anybody. I would, if I was going to work for anybody at any time for whatever, it would just be a contract agreement. That's all it is. Whatever it is I would do for them, it would just be like, here's how much I want to make. And this it is. You don't have to come up with any more administrative remedy than that. It's just like, yeah. And everybody that you're doing business with is your friend.
Right. Right.
Nothing corporate. You don't have employee. You don't have to do all that. Let government do all that crap. You're not doing that. It's just a beautiful thing. And if you're good at something, then it's definitely worth a lot. Create value for people. Anyway, we'll help you that. You don't have to do that on your own. It'll be great.
Amazing. Yeah. Incredible. Yeah. This is I'm gonna stop recording here.
Okay.
And
There's just so much for people. Yeah, I mean, if people will just, they'll be up for it, and if they deal with their fear, I think that's that. And that's really, I think of, I mean, how much in the area of wrestling do people have to deal with fear?
I mean, it's prevalent every time you step on the mat.
Mm,
Um, yeah, dealing with the fear of it's just the ego is structure, it puts people in a place of fight or flight. And that's again one of the things I want to teach with
that's
competitive
powerful.
evolution
Yeah.
because
So now, did you come up with competitive evolution?
yes.
Yeah, you got to copyright that. You got to trademark that.
I don't know how
Yeah.
to do that. I'll
Oh,
figure
I'll
it
tell you how to do it. Go to your
out.
Secretary of State's office and register that in your state, and you can register as a registered trademark. And look, there's some simple paperwork. You don't have to go overboard with that, but you can register that as a trademark in every state. Now there is a cost, but you could find a trademark attorney. They already have the paperwork for it, and you could register that trademark in every state. Because if that's unique to you, yeah, definitely lock that down. Of course, be sure to grab easily all of the web domains on that stuff right away.
Okay.
I would before, well, you're not recording now. That's good. But yeah, if you go to, do, the .com, the .org, on that, but competitive evolution, absolutely.
Okay.
And so grab a few of those. And I listen, every time I get a business idea, I grab a web domain. I got web domains. I get called all the time. I've got a line of cards called Broken Heart cards. I've already written them. I just haven't done it. It's a line of
Okay.
cards that reconciles families. It's cards that own your shit, and you're reaching out to the broken relationship. I've got them all written for brothers and sisters and moms and dads and all that stuff. They're nothing like that's in the store. All that stuff in the store is crock of shit. You can't find good cards of broken relationships.
Wow.
So anyway, that's
Oh
a
my
line of
goodness.
cards I got to get out.
You
Anyway,
gotta
but
get this out.
I already have my domains for all that, so anytime you get an idea, go buy the web domain first. Just snag it before you start talking it up. Yeah. So get those web domains for those. Okay.
Okay.
And look, they're like, maybe they're $12 a year. It's like pennies, it's really cheap. And I just keep paying it every year. I, you know, I probably have about a dozen web domains.
So cool. Okay, yeah, I don't see, I still don't see anybody on them, so I will definitely grab these domains.
Yeah,
That's something I'm gonna be
the
looking
web
on.
domains are important first. Yeah, grab those, and you can
Um,
go to get an account with well, you have a web. Do you already have a web domain that you own?
no,
Okay, yeah. So all your
I
stuff
think
should.
maybe
So
someone got one for me that
okay, yeah. So
or
and again, so if you go to the most popular one is called GoDaddy. So go to
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy, get yourself an account, and then they'll have a tool in there where you can type in a web domain and then you buy it. And then you can buy the privacy thing that's extra. Otherwise, people can see. You'll get calls from India like, I want to help you develop your website. It was like, nah, it's okay. We got that in house. But anyway, but yeah, grab anytime you get a good idea, grab the web domain always first. Okay.
Okay, I got Competitive Evolution or Competitive Evolution
Grab
dot
them both.
com. Dot
Grab
com
them
super
both.
cheap.
You can always let them go. And listen, let's say you get one that's really popular. You build a brand with that. Those are going for tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow. Yeah, this one. So okay, you just get
Yeah.
a couple of these, huh? Competitive Evolution
Whatever you think that you might use, you can always cut them loose. But grab certainly grab.com, certainly grab.org.
.com.org. Okay, I
Even
might have to do
even
that.
.net is pretty popular.
Yeah, they got a little bundle and save here,
Mm,
which is
yeah,
net
yeah.
dot info.
Yeah. I mean, if you think you could use any of those, snag them.
Which
You can
one are we
always let
on?
them. You can always let them go, and then yeah, you get those anytime you get a good business idea. You grab the web domain that you think would be good for that. And yeah,
Okay.
if you register those trademarks, because let me say, competitive evolution is that's a nice phrase.
I came up with that years ago.
Oh yeah, see,
Years ago.
snag that. Then no
Yeah.
one can use it. Not so much that, but if anyone tries to use it, you definitely have some recourse. But yeah, snag
All
that,
right.
snag that, baby. Yeah,
I'm gonna
those are
snag it.
yours. Those are
I'll
yours.
be yeah, only at $38 a year.
That
For
seems. Is
the-
that GoDaddy? Oh, for all of that, you mean? Is
it's
that a
so it's
package
35 for Competitive Evolution, which is available.
just by itself?
Yeah.
That seems high, but I mean, no, it's not. I
I
mean,
know
35 bucks a year
I
is not
think
so bad. But
I might have
oh,
added.
is there privacy stuff in it too, where they protect your? Because there's usually you can click off on that and it'll come down quite a bit.
Let me see here. It's yeah, it looks like I may have added something. Oh, you got a starter bundle domain, which is yeah, it's like best for building your brand, computer game, secure online credit
Yeah,
card
so they may be
system.
adding stuff in there, so
Yeah,
you can
they said
if you
about two
so if
yeah.
that's good and you want that, then go
Yeah,
for it.
I'm gonna
But
get
there's
that
you
too.
can bare bones some of it. It's all good. Yeah, no, I mean especially that .com is definitely snag it right away before you get it
I'm gonna get
launching.
that. I'll get the .org too. Just
What a great phrase. I could see that being an all-encompassing thing.
you see what I'm saying? You
I
see what
do.
I'm saying?
I do. I mean, you could get into different elements of that, whatever, I don't know. I got a vivid imagination now.